Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you're joining this morning, would you go ahead, greet me in the chat? I want to be able to greet you. I want to be able to greet you this morning. Uh, Good morning, Brother Reggie. I see you. Good morning, Sister E. Sister BJ, good morning. Sister Blackman, Sister Edna Blackman, Miss Tara, Sister Sam, good morning to each and every one of you. As you're coming in, would you greet me? I want to be able to greet you. I want to be able to greet you. I know it's been a while since we've been in Saturday morning session. Uh, it's been since November since we had uh, in since we've been on a Saturday morning, and so I'm so glad to see each and every one of you. Um, we're trying out some new tech this morning. Um, we we have new cameras for the study, and so we're trying that out this morning. If I look okay, would you give me a one? If I look okay, would you give me a one? Good morning, Sister Vernell. Trying new cameras in the study. So if it looks all right, let us know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll get started. This is the day that the Lord has made. We're glad and we're rejoicing in it. It's a good day to be alive. It is a good day to be in Formation Saturday with each and every one of you. Now, we know that Formation Saturday is a little different from our typical teaching setup. Typically, on Tuesdays or on Wednesdays with our teaching staff, uh, our focus is on teaching through the Word, line upon line, precept upon precept. But on the third Saturday, the original purpose for the original reason why we wanted to launch Formation Saturday was for leadership training. We wanted to share some information with leaders to help them uh, become more effective. And it evolved from that original intent. It became a place for us to have conversations around pressing issues related to church life. And we began to bring in friends and other faith leaders who we've had conversations with over the months. Now, if you've been blessed by that conversational format of Formation Saturday, would you go ahead and give me some tools in the chat? Let me know if you've been blessed by that. Give me some tools in the chat. Okay, wonderful. And so we're going to resume that on next month. Uh, I've already uh, I've already got our speaker lined up, and we're already making preparations to speak to you. If the Lord permits, we're going to transition out of worship as a way of life into a conversation of stewardship being worship, of 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 our stewardship being worship. The book of Proverbs says that we honor the Lord with our substance. And we want to spend some time talking about how we honor the Lord with our substance. And I want to give you a cliffhanger. It's not all about how you give at church. Honoring the Lord with your substance is how you live your life, how you handle your affairs, how you handle your business. The Lord does not want you bound to debt. Praise the Lord. The Lord does not want you bound to debt. The Lord does not want you living from paycheck to paycheck. It is not His will for you. But we'll get to that in the month of February if the Lord so leads and the Lord gives us the grace. Today, however, I want to have a conversation about one of the master keys of my life. Now, this is one of the most important things that I do on an annual basis. So, right now, before we get involved in this conversation, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share this. I want you to share this with your friends. Let me change this setup so you can see that. I want you to share this with your community. I see that we have about 10 people on over 3 platforms. So can I get everybody to hit that share button for me? I want everybody to hit that share button for me as we get into this conversation. I want you to know right off the bat, this is going to be some powerful information. Again, this is a part of my annual routine. This is something that I do every year. So let's talk. Again, we know formation isn't so much about scripture as much as it is about empowering you to live to the level that God would have you to live at this season of life. So I want everyone to type this in the comments, this particular word. I want everyone to type the word discipline in the comments. It's the word discipline. Everyone give me that word discipline. I want everyone to type in that word discipline. The reason I want you to type that word discipline in the chat is because you're not going to reach the life that you want without it. Every last one of us are aspiring to get somewhere in life. And I don't care if you're 2 years old or 12 years old or 22 years old or 32 years old or 42 years old or 52 years old or 62 years old or 72 years old or 82 years old. You're trying to get somewhere. You're reaching, to use the language of the Apostle Paul, you're reaching for something. You're pressing towards something. And you're not going to get there by mistake. It's not just going to happen. You won't achieve your dream haphazardly. Here's a word. Put it in blue. You won't drift into your dream. You won't drift into your dream. I want you to understand this. Is going to require you doing something with your life to help keep you on track. There's a word. It was crafted by a pastor named Andy Stanley. It's called visioneer. And which is a combination of the word vision plus engineer. And when he put this word visioneer together, the idea is that you have to construct your idea. You have to build your idea of what you want, of where you're going. Now, I'm not talking about positive. I'm not talking about that positive thinking, any of that. I'm talking about some concrete thinking through where you're headed. In fact, I have several questions that I asked myself. If you remember, matter of fact, if you remember the investigative questions from when we were in school, would you put one of those investigative questions? I want to say there were 6 of them. Would you put one of those one of those investigative questions in the chat? They're small words, but when I want to know something, I should ask these particular words. Anybody going to help me with this one? The investigative questions. That's right. One of them is what? Who? What? Who? What? Why? Where? When? How? When I want to know something, I need to ask these investigative questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I ask every year of myself, I ask myself, why was I born? I'm asking myself, why was I born? I'm asking myself, who was I called to? Who am I called to? I'm asking myself, what matters most? I'm asking myself, where am I headed? How am I going to get there? And in my question, the where and the when is connected. The where and the when is connected. I'm asking myself these questions on a regular basis because I'm trying to get somewhere, and it's going to require the discipline of me knowing where I'm going, knowing who I am, having a clear self-definition so that I can operate in self-determination. Oftentimes, because we've not answered these questions for ourselves, our lives get stuck in the drift. Because we've not answered these investigative questions for ourselves, our lives get caught in the drift. And whatever happens, happens. And now we are reactive instead of proactive. We're responding to what happens to us. We're on the defensive instead of the offensive in our own lives. If you can testify to being in that place, go ahead and give me a 3 in the comments. Go ahead, give me a 3 in the comments. I'm going to give myself a 3 because I know it's the truth for Maurice. I know that because I've not had a clear picture of where I was headed, I didn't have, I never sat down and thought through it. And so things are happening and I'm just drifting along. Like the singing group, I'm a drifter. You know, my theme song was Float On, Float On. Why? Because I never stopped to answer these investigative questions about my own life. Why did God allow you to be born? Why? What am I most concerned with? What's most important to me? Who are the people that I was called to? Where's my life headed? How am I going to get to where my life is headed? And I'm going to add another layer to this. I want everybody to put this in the comments. And if you can, I want you to put it in all caps. I want all caps, scream at the pastor. Because this is going to be the hook of everything we talk about today. Write it down. Go ahead, put that in the comments for me. All caps, write it down. Because I'm going to tell you, and there have been times where I did know the answer to those investigative questions, but I only had it in my head. And so when tensions got high, when the circumstances of life started hitting me and I had to make flip decisions and things are happening, because it's only in my head, when it's time to make the decision, it's not on my mind. Now, if you've been in a position where you made a decision, and after making that decision, you were like, why in the world did I do that? Go ahead, give me a 4 in the chat. I need a 4 in the chat. I got to give myself a 4. Because I know that's the truth for Maurice. I have made decisions, and after I made that decision, I'm thinking, what in the world were you thinking? Why did I make such a rash decision? Why did I do that? Because I had the answer to the questions. I knew where I was going. I had an idea of how I was going to get there. The problem is, it was only in my head. And the Chinese proverb says that the faintest pen is sharper than the sharpest memory. Let me say the right way. The faintest pen is more powerful than the sharpest memory. Because when your emotions override, now you done spent all your money. You done went in that emergency fund and you've been saving this money for years on top of years. And in a split second of high emotionalism, you done went and spent your savings. Because in your mind in that moment, you couldn't see where you were going. And I don't care if you were 2 or if you're 102. All of us have been in that spot. All of us have been there. So I need not just to answer these questions, I need to write it down. So every year, towards the end of the year, I ask myself these questions and I write it down. Matter of fact, I got my copy of the 2020 edition now. This is my 2020 version of what I'm talking to you about now. One writer calls it a life plan. Another writer calls it a personal constitution. When I was in school studying for pastoral administration, one of the things our professor took us through is called a strategic plan for the church. In the business world, they have a strategic plan. You need it for your life. You need to have something in writing that's going to bring you back to center. You need something in writing that's going to remind you of what your priorities are. You need something in writing that's going to remind you of why you're working the way you're working. Why you're making the sacrifices that you're making the sacrifices for. I can't express to you how pivotal this is, how important it is, because I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to walk through these questions quickly and we'll go into the rest of our Saturday. But I'm going to tell you, there's going to come a moment when discouragement is going to set in. Things ain't going to go your way, and everything going to look like it's falling apart. And if you're depending on your mind in that moment to remind you of why you're doing what you're doing, remind you of why you made the decision you made, you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to change course. You're going to want to change your destination. But if you have it written down in peacetime, written down when there's nothing that's pulling on you emotionally, trying to get you to go this way or that way. If you wrote it down in peacetime, in the height of the battle, it'll keep you focused. In the height of the battle, it'll keep you grounded. It'll keep you moving in the right direction. So let's get into these questions. First question. I've already announced it, but I'm going to say it. We're going to get there. Everybody give me the word why. Why were you born? You could just type that word why in the comments for me. The first question is why. You have to figure that out. The Lord may speak to your parents about you. The Lord may speak to your pastor about you. But the person God really wants to talk to about you is you. And you can't wait on God to talk to somebody else about you. You need to go and find that out for yourself. And you need to write it down. See, here's the truth. If you don't know why you're on the planet, if you don't know why you're alive, you don't have anything to focus your energies on. You don't have anything to direct your attention to. So at the beginning of this project, you need to sit down and discover your why. And once you found your why, you need to direct all your energy towards your why. I'll tell you, we're not really doing a lot of scripture today, but if Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says that God preordained your why. That before you were ever in your mama's womb, before you were ever a twinkle in your daddy's eye, when you were just in the mind of God, before you ever existed anywhere outside of the mind of God, God already had preordained, pre-designed your purpose. And your purpose is a good work. Your purpose is a good work. It is so good that can't nobody do it like you. No one can fulfill your purpose like you can. You are unique in your purpose. So you need to find that. Now, everybody fell in love with Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. Everybody fell in love with that. It was a spinoff of his earlier book, A Purpose Driven Church. Our church has used that book as we've been going through this on a corporate level for our church. But Purpose Driven Life is his version for the individual. And Rick Warner says that every believer was born for 5 reasons. Every believer was born for 5 reasons. He says that the believer was born to bring God glory through worship, through loving others, through becoming more like Christ, through serving others with our gifts, through telling others about Christ. These 5 things are purpose points for every believer. And an iteration of that has become the core values of our church. But Pastor Rick says every person was born to do those things. Well, if you go to Genesis 1:28, again, we're not going to spend much time in scripture at all. I'm not even going to ask you to turn anywhere in the Bible today. Genesis 1:28, I like the Message Bible because it tells you that when God created you, he created you for a reason. He said, I love the Message because he says it in direct terms. He says, prosper. Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, get control, take charge, be responsible. Every person has that responsibility. Every person has that purpose. But what I'm talking about today is not the general purpose that all of us have. What I'm talking about today is the specific purpose, the specific reason why you were born. Now you're asking, how do I figure out my specific purpose? Find your passion. Come on, I got about 15 of y'all on. Type that word passion in for me. Put that word passion in there for me. If you want to figure out where your purpose is, consult your passions. Consult your passion. What gets you excited? What causes butterflies in your stomach at just the thought of it? What gets you angry? I mean, what makes you mad? I love the way my dad says this. My dad, I don't think he knew he was giving me a definition for passion when he gave it to me, but he used to say this all the time when I was younger. Dad used to say this all the time when I was younger. Dad would say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. My dad would always tell me, he said, Marty, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And let me tell you, I know I love preaching. I love preaching. I love preaching so much I was sleeping preaching. They shook me and woke me. I was standing up in the middle of the bed in the middle of the night preaching. It's my passion. If I never got another check, I'd preach forever. I take anything and preach. It's my passion. It's what I love. I love to hear preaching. I love to read about preaching. I love to write preaching. I love it. It's my passion. And so, because I know what my passion is, I'll tell you, I have mine here. And then I'll move on to the next one. I know I have 5 purposes. Not because Rick Warren said it, but I know that I was born to do 5 things. There are 5 things that God put me on this planet to do. And I've known it for years. I've known it since I was a teenager. I'm 33 years old today. I've known it for years. And I've been saying it since I was in high school. I was born to be a husband. I was born to be a father. I was born to be a pastor. I was born to be a teacher and a mentor. I was born to be an author. I write. I teach. Doing this is something I love to do. I enjoy. It's my passion to share information, especially with young preachers. I started preaching when I was 6. And I grew up in the pulpit. I grew up preaching, and I was in elementary school when I started and preached through middle school and preached through high school and through college. I pledged a fraternity while preaching. And so I have experience. I've studied it. I studied it. I got books. I got books on top of books. I got a first edition up here over in my closet, and I'm gonna move on from this because again, what I'm revealing to you is my passion. That's what this little tangent right here is revealing to you my passion. Over in that closet there, I have a book that was published in the 1800s, a book of sermons. The binding them fell apart. I keep it in a Ziploc bag. 2 preachers came together. One was a manuscript preacher, the other was an outline preacher, and they put their sermons together and made a book. I got it. Why? Because that was my passion. That's why I was born. That needs to be written down. Next question. Y'all forgive me for my tangent, but again, that's what gets me excited. Now this one gonna be a little tight. Who are you called to? Go ahead, give me some who's in the chat. Give me some who's in the chat. Who are you called to? Who are you called to? Now we just spent time talking about purpose. The who question talks about mission. See, it's one thing to be passionate about something. It's another thing to harness the power of that passion into productivity. I'll make you laugh about me. As a child, I just told you my passion is preaching. One of my passions is preaching. One of my greatest passions is preaching. As a child, I was so passionate about preaching that when I'd wait at the bus stop in the morning for school, there was a stack of bricks there that was built up just high enough for it to be my pulpit. And I get out there, that box of bricks, and buddy, every day I was letting her rip. I was preaching so. I would preach behind them bricks. I come all out from behind. I'm talking about I was doing my best preaching. The best I could at the time. Every morning. Preaching out into the traffic. And even though I was passionate, and even though I was enjoying myself, I was not being productive. And the reason why the preaching that I was doing at the bus stop was not productive was because couldn't nobody hear me. I know y'all laughing at me. No one could hear me. Some of my preaching mentors, Uncle Bernard Yates, who sleeps in the Lord, Pastor Charles Edward Young, well, now Bishop Charles Edward Young, Dr. Robert Lee Likely. All of these guys are passing, all of these major pastors in our city are passing by my bus stop, and they see me, Pastor Greg Byrne. They see me out there preaching. They know me. They know what I'm doing. So they'll roll down the window as they're passing by and holler at me, "Preach it, Maurice, preach it." They couldn't hear me. Yes, ma'am. It was incubating something in me. It was a reason for me to preach the way I was. Why? Because it was growing that passion in me. It was growing something in me. It had its purpose, but the productivity of that preaching, the people that needed to hear it, they couldn't hear it. So what did I need? I needed a mission. I needed to know, who am I called to? Because I'm finna say something. Matter of fact, I want you to type this in the comments as a personal confession for yourself. I am not for everybody. Type that in the comments. I am not for everybody. I am not for everybody. Because here's the reality, going back to my illustration from me preaching at the bus stop. Everybody passing by would not have received my style of preaching. I'm too bombastic for some people. I get too excited. I put too much. I gotta move when I preach, and I gotta raise my voice when I preach. And some people that wouldn't reach them. And now, the message that I have to preach, not the sermon, that's going to change from text to text, from time. Every time I stand, I have a different sermon. But God has given me a specific message, a specific word to speak. And that word doesn't resonate with everybody. What I have to say doesn't touch their point of pain. I am not for everybody. And here's the part you got to accept. That's okay. Just because everybody don't like the way you fry the chicken don't mean you stop frying chicken. Just because just because they don't like the way you bake the cake doesn't mean you stop baking cakes. Now my job is to find out who likes the way I fry the chicken, who likes the way I bake the cake, and I'll bake the cake and fry the chicken for them. And those who don't like the way I fry the chicken, don't like the way I bake the cake, they can go and find somebody else that bakes it and fries it the way they like it. But for everybody that likes my way, I'm going to fry chicken and bake cakes. Every time they look for a piece of chicken, I'm going to be in the kitchen with some grease. I'm going to give my attention to the people that are for me. Again, and I hate to keep harping on myself, but this is the only way I know how to convey this. I love preaching, and I'm invited to preach in a lot of different places, and that's great. But if I don't preach anywhere else but Greater Beulah to the people that I'm called to, I'm satisfied. Because the word that God put in my mouth and in my heart meets the needs of the people that show up at GB, whether it's in the local sanctuary or virtual sanctuary. If I don't preach for TD Jakes, if I don't go to New Birth, if I don't go across seas to Africa or to Eurasia or to Europe or wherever, if I only preach at 613 6th Avenue, because these are the people that I'm called to, I'm satisfied. Now I know who to focus my attention on. I know who to give my energy on. I know how to tailor my passion, how to harness my passion to meet the needs of those people that I'm called to. Now, this isn't in my plan to say, but I feel led of the Holy Spirit to ask. Are you tired and exhausted because you're trying to force yourself on people who are not for you? Oh, I can help them. I can help them. I got what they need. If they just let me, I can help them. Baby, they're not for you. That's outside of your mission. And it's okay for them to be outside of your mission. So what does the question, who am I called to, answer? Who I'm called to helps me determine who I am, who I help, and how I help. I can't help everybody. But to the people I am called to help, I got the goods. And I'm going to say this to you, and I want you to hear the voice of your pastor, and I want you to be affirmed by what I'm finna say. You may not be called to everybody, but to the people you are called to, you got the goods. And they are ready to receive you. They're not going to resist. Okay, all right. I'm going to come out of that because I feel something else trying to creep up, and that's not what we're doing today. Your mission, I'm going to use this word and I'll move on to the next question. Your mission helps you set boundaries around your passion. I was put on this planet to do something, but I was not put on this planet to do it for everybody. I was put on this planet to do something for a specific group of people, and I'm going to focus all of my energy on that group of people that the Lord has assigned to me, that the Lord has called me to. And I'm so grateful that the Lord called me to you. All right. Now let's go another. Everybody type in the word what. Next question. And everything we're discussing, you need to write down. When you come up with these answers for yourself, you need to write them down. Everybody put that word what in the comments. The question is, what matters most? So our purpose emerges when we discover our passion. And now that we know our passion, we have to get a mission so that we can put some parameters, some boundaries around our passion. We know that we've been called by God to do something, but we can't do it for everybody. We have to have a specific group, a target. If we were in a business setting, we say a target audience. And so I have, as an individual, I have a target group of people that I'm trying to minister to and meet. But now I need to determine what matters most. How am I? Here's the question for what matters most. And now we're talking about core values. What are going to be my non-negotiables and how I behave within these parameters? So my mission, my personal mission, it's on my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, is my bio up at the top. I am a gospel communicator. That's who I am. I help everyday people. That's who I help. Develop meaningful relationship with God. That's how I help. I have those parameters. Now, the next question I need to ask, and I have it written down, I need to ask, how am I going to do that? What's most important? How am I going to behave in this? Because let me tell you something. You're going to be faced with some decisions that's going to look like they're to the advantage of your why. You're going to be faced with opportunities to do something that's going to make it seem like you're getting ahead. I'll paint a scenario. I'll paint a hypothetical scenario in the form of a question. So do you work the extra shift or do you make your daughter's dance recital? Which one is more important? Because I need the money. We need the money. But is this money right now more important than my long-term relationship with my daughter? In order to find the answer, you need your core values. You need some non-negotiables. You need something that you're going to say, hey, I'm not going to move on this. I won't move on this. This is something that I have to abide by. Now, if money is the core value, go take the extra shift. But if your family matters more to you than money, then you go to the dance recital. Why? Because my daughter is more important. My child is more important. And I've been in situations where I needed some extra money before. And some way, somehow, the Lord made a way. He gave me a witty idea in order for me to make some extra money. So if I keep this commitment over here, and that's what core values is all about. It's about your commitments. I'm not going to bend on this. I'm not going to bend on it. Why? Because I'm a human being. I'm not a human doing. I'm not going to bend on the fact that I need to rest. I can't bend on that. I can't bend on the fact that I have to take care of myself. Because if I run me down trying to help you, Truth is, most of them people that will let you run yourself down trying to help them are not going to show up when you need them. Cheers. See, here's the thing. Every opportunity is not a good opportunity. And you need a method to weed those things out. So you need to figure out what's important to you. If this resonates with anyone, go ahead and give me a 5 in the chat. I kind of lost some of my amens now. Give me if this resonates with you, go ahead and put some 5s in the chat. You need some core values for yourself. Now, this is what's most important to me. And I'll tell you from personal testimony, that is the reason why I said to you in our state of the church that when Kendall Marie is born, I'm going to take a couple of weeks so that I could be with the first lady and with the baby. Because more important to me is my family. There's some opportunities I'm just going to say no to. Why? Because it's going to violate my core value of authenticity. I don't want to be anywhere where I got to be fake. I don't want to be anywhere where I can't be myself. That's one of my personal core values, authenticity. I'd rather counsel than preach unprepared because competency is one of my core values. Competency is one of my core values. That when you hear me talk, I'm studied and I'm prepared and I have command of my subject. You're going to walk away saying that man knew what he was talking about. Because he did. I made an intention that every time I open my mouth to talk, I'm ready. It's a core value for me to be responsible. I need to take care of my business. I don't need to say something and can't keep my word. These things are more important to me than being on the Word Network or TBN. I'll say this here and I'll move on to the next. To the two that I really wanted to deal with, but these others also require my attention. I was asked to be on a broadcast. It was going to be televised. But I made a commitment to another church at the same time. And I'd be a liar if I told you I didn't struggle. I tried to reason myself into canceling an engagement that I'd already taken because I knew if I went on their television station, on their television network for that broadcast, it would have been a big opportunity for me. I would have been heard, and I want to say it was going to go across the country. It was going to go across the country. Matter of fact, it was a subsidiary of Trinity Broadcasting Network. But I had given my word. And there wasn't but 25 people in that church. But I had given my word. And more important than me getting an opportunity was me keeping my word. It was a core value for me. And you have to have some things in your life that you're just not going to bend on. Not going to bend on. All right. Everybody type the word where and when in the comments. I'm coming in. Where and when. Where and when. This is the question about vision. And again, all of this is to be written down. As you come up with your own personal answers for these questions, I want you to write them down. And you're going to end up with a document much like mine. You'll end up with a document much like mine, because, like I said earlier, when discouragement comes, when discouragement comes, when things go wrong, you'll have something to keep you in the race, to keep you focused, to keep you headed towards the right direction. I say when and where is because for vision, I want you to use your imagination. Matter of fact, I'm going to I want you to use your imagination. I want you in your mind to go. I'll tell you the year that I'm looking toward, 2025. I want you to, in your mind, stand in 25. And I want you to look around. I want you to see your life in 2025. Now, if you can, I want you to put one word in the comments about where you see yourself in 2025. Put a one word description of where you see yourself in 2025. 2025. I want you to use your imagination. Use your imagination and stand in your life in 2025. See yourself in the future. And tell me one word that describes what your life looks like in 2025. Sister BJ says she sees herself being an author. 2025. Oh, better. I like it. Retired in 2025. Stronger. What I'm asking you to do is to go into the future in your mind and imagine what a day in your life feels like, what it looks like. I want you in your mind's eye to discover what kind of people am I associated with in 2025? How do I spend my time in 2025? What kind of impact am I having in the world in 2025? This is now and see a lot of us have trouble with this kind of, because we're not used to using our imagination. But what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to think in your mind of 2025 and look around, investigate, see what this feels like. And when you get that picture in your mind, you guessed it, write that down. You got to write it down. See, again, remember where we started. It's not enough to have it up here. You got to put it on paper. Why? Because the faintest ink is more powerful than the sharpest memory. You got to start seeing yourself in the future. And I'm pressing on this because the next one is going to build off of this. When we get to how, it's going to build off of what you see. But you can't build a how until you know what you see. And see, the truth of the matter is, I'll tell you, by 2025, I'm asking the Lord to give me and my wife an emergency fund that can cover an entire year. I want an entire year of expenses in our savings. By that time, I want to devote my best time to my family. When I think of 2025, that's kind of thoughts I have. I'm spending my best time with my family. You know, I am reaching other young ministers and mentoring them through relationship. When I look around in my 2025, that's what to me, that's what I see. I'm like you, Minister BJ. My books are bestsellers. My books are bestsellers. And our church is growing. I'm not worried about numerics. Whenever I talk about our church growing, I'm always talking about our spiritual growth. When I look in 25, that's what I see. Our church is full of spiritually mature people. We are disciples of Jesus Christ. And I write it down. Now, I said all of those things in the future tense, but when I write it down, I don't write it in the future tense. I write it in the present tense. So when I talk about those books, my books are bestsellers. People are encouraged, inspired, and empowered by my books. Our church is filled with spiritually mature disciples of Jesus Christ. Our family is financially secure with an emergency fund, a vacation fund, and all of our needs are met comfortably. I write it in the present tense. Why? Because I'm trying to bring my mind back when I read it. I'm trying to bring my mind back to this moment when I stood in 2025 and I looked around and I saw what it was like. I put it in writing. Here's the last one. I feel this shifting. Yeah, I feel this shifting. I've given you so much. I've given you so much, and I kind of feel like you're full. I feel like you're full. Everybody, put that word "how" in the chat. The word "how." I've given you a whole lot today. I go through this process every year. I go through this process every year. The last word is "how." And I need where and when talks about vision. And we said our win for today is 2025. And we talked about what it looked like. We envisioned what it looked like. But now that we've reported in 2022 what it looks like in 2025, now we need to set up a strategy of how to get from where we are in 2022 to where we saw ourselves in 2025. Now we need to set up a strategy to get from where we are in 2022 to where we want to be in 2025. So we one of the things that came up was to write a book. One of the things that came up was to write a book. So what do? Now we got to set up some goals. I'm finna give you a goal system. What time is it? Y'all, First Lady, tell me to stop in 5 minutes. In the comments, let me know to stop in about 5 minutes, so that I can ring this in. The method is called SMARTER. Because I could talk like this all day. This is what I love to do. And if you're taking notes, I want you to write that word. I don't want you to put it in the comments yet. I want you to write that word in your notes just as you see it on the screen. The word is SMARTER. So now that we're developing these goals, the first thing is the goal needs to be specific. The goal needs to be specific. We know we're trying to get to a book. So now that we're writing, now that we're talking about a goal, we need to be specific. What specifically can I do that's going to get me towards the book? Okay, so now I need to, let's just say we'll write 10 pages a day. Why did I say 10 pages a day? Come back. The joy of using technology. Because 10 pages a day is measurable. You can measure how many days you wrote 10, and you can measure on today I did 10 pages. And I know I've reached my goal when I get to 10 pages today. If I don't get to 10 pages today, I got 5 pages today. I didn't get 5 pages today, I got 7 pages today. I can measure my progress. I can create a habit tracker that says Monday, I got 10. Tuesday, I got 10. Wednesday, I got 10. Thursday, I got 5. Friday, I got 10. Saturday, I got 10. And now I'm creating a habit tracker. I'll say this as an aside. I'm really trying to wrap this up. I'll say this as an aside. One of my goals for 2022 is that I want to close all 3 of my circles on my Apple Fitness every day. I have a habit tracker. It shows me every day that I've closed. I've closed every day this year. That is measurable. That's something I can measure. But notice also, write 10 pages is actionable. It tells me what I need to do. I need to write. It's not some abstract, I need to work on my book. I need to work on my book. How? What do you mean you need to work on your book? That's too broad. So we need to bring it down so that we know what we're doing. I am writing 10 pages a day. Now, I'm going to add this. Me saying that I'm going to write 10 pages a day is really risky because I can't guarantee you that I'll be able to write 10 pages. Moment of pure transparency. I sat down to write out article version, a readable version of today's lesson, and it's maybe 4 pages, and I couldn't finish it. My mind my capacity to write had expired at 5 pages. So me saying that I'm going to write 10 pages every day, that's a risk because I know I possibly won't have the capacity to do it. But it's something I can reach for. It's something beyond where I am that I can reach for. And here's the next one. I'm going to write 10 pages a day isn't enough. I need to have a start date. Yes, ma'am. Let me run. I'll finish these last 3 and I'll stop. Time key. I need a start day and a stop day. Or I need to work into this goal, my rate of frequency. I'm gonna write 10 pages a day, 5 days a week. Or I'm going to write 10 pages a day beginning on beginning on January 22nd through March 22nd, or however I'm going to time key it. But I need to have a start date. I need to have a stop date so that I can see a finish line. I can see a goal. Okay. Now, this one is it needs to excite you. We're using writing. Writing may not be exciting, but finishing the book is. And so I need to program into my goal that the reason why I'm writing these 10 pages a day, 5 days a week, the reason why I'm writing these 10 pages a day beginning January 22nd through March 22nd is because I'm excited about completing the book. And it has to be relevant. If I wasn't trying to finish up a book, it wouldn't make sense for me to just write 10 pages a day. My goal has to be relevant to my vision. So if I'm trying to complete a book, why am I taking a graphic arts course? That's not helping me that's not relevant to my vision. That's not relevant to where I'm going. I have to limit my goal, my strategy to the vision that I'm trying to fulfill. And each goal becomes a building block from where you are in 2022 to where you're trying to get in 2025. And so this document, this is this year's edition of my document. It has everything that we talked about. It has everything that we talked about. My goals, my vision statement, my core value, my mission, my purpose. All of that is on this piece of paper. But when December gets here, I'm going to review this. But I'm not going to wait just to December to review this because that's when I do my rewrite. But every month, I keep this in my pad where I do my writing for the church. So that when I sit down, I can review and reflect. And in my review and my reflection, I stay on course. There's discipline to help me get from where I am to where I'm going. All right, I'm going to stop. Was this helpful? If this was helpful, give me some 6s in the chat. If this was helpful, give me some 6s in the chat. Wow, we still have 20 people on at 1 hour and 20 minutes. If this was helpful, give me some 6s in the chat. Now, I'm going to do something that I normally would not do. I'm going to provide a few minutes. I want to stop teaching so that I can do this here. I have about I'll allow I want to be done by 12:30. I want to be done by 12:30. But if you have a question concerning any of the material that we shared today, I want you to put that question in the comment. I want to respond to that. If you have a question on any of this material, I want you to put that in the comments so that I can respond in live time. I normally wouldn't do that, but I do want to give that opportunity today. If you have a question that you want me to respond to, you can put that in the chat. And while you're formulating those questions, if there be any, I do want you to know that I am writing. I've written an article. I'm just about finished with it. I've gotten all the way down to the goal section, uh, detailing this material that I've shared with you today. If enough of you ask for it, I'll put it on the website where you'll be able to get it on the website in written form, the same material. Because I think we need to. I think we need a plan. I think we need a roadmap. Uh, will I mentor you as you write your first book? Uh, we both need mentors, but I'll change that word to I'll hold you accountable as you write your first book. Yeah. Now be sure this is what you want. Be sure this is what you want. Yeah. Because what we have to do, we have to we have to set systems in place for us. We have to set systems in place for us to accomplish our goals, to get to where we want to get. And I don't want you to just drift. Yeah, I don't want you to just drift. I want you to get where you're going on purpose. Anybody else have a question that you want to put it in the chat before we wrap this up? And like I said, I have just about all of this written in article form. So if enough of you ask, if enough of you are interested, I'll be sure to the add it to the Formation Saturday page on the website so that you'll be able to access it. Matter of fact, anybody interested in the written version of this? Would you let me know in the chat? Anybody interested in the written version of today's conversation? Okay, absolutely. I see some coming in. Absolutely, I see it coming in. I'll be glad. I'll once once I finish writing. I'll be sure to add that. Okay. Uh, I don't see any questions. I don't see any questions. But I pray that I've given you something to think on, and I know it was a lot to swallow. I know it was a lot to swallow. So I'm gonna encourage you to come back to this video and eat it in chunks. I'm gonna encourage you to come back and eat it in chunks so that you'll be able to process. So that you'll be able to process. Again, I've been doing this for years, and so as I was preparing, this is normal for me. But as I began to present, I could feel the heaviness comes from putting a whole lot on the table for you at one time. Well, I love you so much. I love you. We're getting ready to we're getting ready to be dismissed from this particular time together. I want you to do me this one favor before we leave. I want you to I want you to share this. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, I want you to hit that share button. It's down. If you're on your mobile device like I am, it is down at the lower left hand corner. Just hit the share button so your community can be exposed to this kind of truth. Hit that share button. If you're watching on YouTube or the church website, you may know somebody that you can send this to via email or through text message or however you communicate with your community. I want you to really share this. Like I said, it's a lot, but it will change your life. It'll keep your life on purpose, on focus, moving in the right direction. Listen, I love you so much. I hope to see each and every one of you all in the morning, in the local sanctuary, in the virtual sanctuary, as we come together for worship in the morning. I want you to know I'm excited about preaching the word. I'm excited about our male course leading us in singing on tomorrow. Look this way, let me bless you, and we'll go into the rest of the day. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you. The Lord give you his grace. The Lord turn his face towards you. The Lord give you his peace. In Jesus' name, amen. I love you. Peace.